Hi, welcome, Stiana, Master Practitioner and Master Breakthrough Coach.
So exciting to be here.
So, Stiana, you've just completed our Master Training. Do you want to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Stiana Hubert, and I'm a sort of functional medicine nutritionist, and I work predominantly with women who've got thyroid issues. So whether they've got an underactive thyroid or Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune variation of thyroid dysfunction. And I really try and help them to understand the root causes of why their thyroid's not working properly. And one of the things that I've realized in working for quite a number of years with clients, and I have Hashimoto's myself, is that there's quite a strong connection with us as women not speaking our truth and not connecting with our true values and not being in alignment with ourselves, and also just not really understanding how best to manage our thoughts. So kind of being stuck in certain thought patterns that kind of create self-sabotaging behavior, and ultimately then means that we can't really fully address what's going on. So yeah, for a number of years I was just focusing on nutrition, but then recently I've gotten into NLP to kind of incorporate that in terms of what I offer my clients.
Yeah, so that's amazing. And, it's so interesting as well how you've discovered that connection between these things. How powerful. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is really powerful. I think one of the strongest connections I've seen is trauma. And I think that, we think of trauma as being something really extreme, but it doesn't have to be. Trauma can be something that someone said to you in the playground when you were in primary school, or your mum reacting in a certain way when you were young, or, a teacher telling you that you were stupid or whatever. So that can become a traumatic event for you. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but we can create really significant self-limiting beliefs based on that, or that event, or there's more of those events. And I've definitely seen a really, really strong correlation in the woman that I've worked with, where there has been some childhood trauma, and I'm not referring to necessarily sexual trauma. That has been present, definitely. Some sort of mental or physical abuse in childhood, but also just this sort of low level traumas, and they're not low level at all, but just what we would wouldn't necessarily call trauma. But and I've definitely seen how that has impacted women not being able to speak their truth. And the thyroid really is the area where it's all around speaking your truth, and women have been sort of they've, as a result of whatever has happened to them when they were younger, learned to kind of silence their own voice, or their own wishes or their thoughts, and that then impacts in ultimately the thyroid not working in the way that it should work.
Yeah, so interesting as well. I think we had a conversation about it recently, didn't we, about traumas and how, we all have different meanings, don't we, that we give to things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not any more significant than somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really powerful, amazing. So you just completed our Master Practitioner course.
Yeah.
Tell me about where you were before that. Like before you completed my Master Training course, what was going on for you? Where were you at?
So I'd done my practitioner level NLP in January this year, and I loved it. I really loved it. But I knew instantly I wanted to do the masters, because it's when I was doing the training. It's funny though, because when you go into NLP, everyone tells you it's going to completely change you. You're going to have this sort of awakening when you're doing it. And I went through the training, and actually, kind of you're expecting this sort of shabam to go off whilst you're in training and something magical to happen. Actually, nothing happened. And I kind of loved it and knew instantly I wanted to do masters. But it was amazing afterwards to see these subtle differences in how I respond, behave, think, show up, conduct myself, work, engage with my children, my husband. I think
Mm.
he definitely preferred me post NLP. um, so, all these things started to kind of impact my life, and I could really start seeing the results in the clients that I was working with as well. So for me, it was an absolute, no brainer to go and do the masters. So I just wanted to come to you because I've been following you, and I wanted to do it in a specific way just because of the type of learner I am as well, which I loved, because the way that you teach taps into the way that I need to learn. So it was perfect for me.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And as you were going through the week, you learned how to deliver master NLP coaching, but also you received it from the other students. What would you say had been your biggest takeaway from going through the training this week? A couple of weeks ago we completed it, didn't we?
Um, I think the thing is, on at practitioner level, you're learning. It's really weird to try and explain it, and I've not really thought about this before, but you're kind of learning to create a foundation. But when you get to master practitioner, it's more around thinking, what window do I want to put in? What does the door want to look like? Which way do I want the wall to face? What do I want the layout to look like? So for me, the biggest takeaway was actually learning that we can be very creative with what we've been taught, and that it's not like it's set in stone, this is what you do, but actually you've got this amazing freedom to create the perfect support for the people you're working with,
Mm.
um, just by understanding how to use the techniques and when to use them and how to combine them and how to use them to complement each other. So for me, that was definitely the biggest takeaway, is that we have this pool of awesome techniques that actually in master practitioner you're just up leveling so much, because you're really also learning quicker ways of doing things that you can quickly throw it in midway and just get a quick result for a client, where in practitioner level it's quite um I wouldn't say it's structured, but NLP is structured, but it's very, and it's not regimented, but it's kind of very, you've got to go through this process. Where with master practitioner, it's more around being much more fluid, intuitive, spontaneous, and you can just kind of learn to do that. And that's the one thing I really love, because it suits my style of work as well.
Yeah, I love that you've explained it like that, because I get asked all the time, people who are just in the practitioner and they say, oh, I just want to implement everything first and I just want to use everything that I've already learned, and trying to explain to them, because I'm like, well, honestly, you'd be better just doing it, because what you've learned now, you're going to take to another level. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I definitely think, like, for me, I should have just gone straight into masters, because I felt the same. Like, I wanted time for it to kind of solidify, and for me to have a better understanding of the techniques before I go into masters. But actually, that's really not necessary, because I think that you're actually learning more in masters, well, so much more in masters, but you're learning it better in a way,
Mm,
and actually you're learning it to use in a much easier way. So whilst you've got the great foundation, as I was saying before, you've got the roots there, by doing the master prac straight away, you're in a position then to go, oh, actually, yeah, this is so much, this just makes so much more sense now. So yeah, for me, I don't see the point in delaying at all. Definitely not.
yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so if there was somebody who was sort of thinking about doing master practitioner but wasn't quite sure yet, what would your advice be?
Just do it. I think someone's already used that slogan, haven't they? Um, I would just say just do it. I think it's the best thing I've done. As I said to you earlier, I was absolutely gutted when the training ended. I was really gutted. I was exhausted, because it's really kind of full on. It's great though. And it doesn't feel like, the days doesn't feel like long. It's just fun. It's engaging. You've got great people, I think because of the person you are, you're attracting very like-minded people energetically. So the group of people in the training are all pretty much aligned, which makes the training so much more fun and easier as well, because you're in training and working with other people that you can energetically resonate with, which is great. So for me, it's just a case of, if it's anything you want to do, I just do it. I really would, because even if you're not wanting to use it for practice or in your work, from a personal level, I genuinely think it's so, I think we should all be teaching this in school. I really do, because I think everyone should be taught how to use NLP. I really do, because I just think it's so transformational.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it's amazing. I always say that NLP should be taught in schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Stiana, for sharing your experience.
It's been such a pleasure training with you, and thank you so much. It's been amazing. And as I've said before, I loved how you taught it.